Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. I think I know why you're here. There's something on your mind. Something you want to talk about.
They lurk around every corner, hang out in every shop, appear on every screen, beckoning you into their world. You know their face is better than your own. You've likely spent more time staring at them and them staring back than you've spent looking in the mirror.
Who am I talking about? I think you already know. Mascots, of course. And that's why you've come to me. Or should I say, M.E. That's right. Mascots Explained. I've got a lot of big plans for this channel. Mascot deep dives, restaurant chains, origin stories, but before we get too complex, I wanted to cover the basics, starting with
Mascots themselves have been around since the dawn of time, but the word itself finds its origins in France with the debut of the French operetta La Mascotte by Edmond Audran. In the play, a young woman serves as the titular mascot, providing good luck to anyone who employs her as long as she maintains her chastity. The name of the play was taken from a Provençal slang term used by gamblers, mascoto, which means talisman or charm and ultimately stems from the word masco, meaning witch. The play was a resounding success, and when it made its way to America, it gave us the anglicized word mascot, or in other words, a person, animal, or object adopted by a group as a symbolic figure, especially to bring them good luck. The term is most commonly used to describe someone or something that is a brand ambassador, product mouthpiece, or figurehead of a company or team. A mascot can basically be thought of as the face you picture when you think of a larger concept, a concrete representation of a collective, the face of a company. You can track the evolution of the term from its original intention into its modern use if we examine the sports team mascot. A sports mascot lives on the sidelines, cheering on their team. Their purpose in life is to provide that extra little bit of luck so their team can win the big game. What if we applied the same line of thinking to a brand mascot, except that the team they're cheering on is an otherwise faceless corporation, and the game they're looking to win is market saturation and domination? Doesn't that sound fun? A brand mascot is meant to represent the best of their brand, but it's also important to remember that they're much more than a cheerleader or a good luck charm. They serve as a guiding light in the dark and often murky corporate landscape. It's imperative to look to these figures for guidance, but we must always be on the watch for pretenders. Is this a mascot or simply a man in a costume? Is this just a cute cartoon drawing? Or a bona fide in-the-flesh mascot? Is this just a fun animal with a job? Or is this an animal that can talk and sell me delicious baby back ribs?
these are all different ways of asking the same thing. What is a mascot? Well, that's a pretty big question. But don't worry, I've spent my time compiling this helpful guide that breaks it all down into 3 main criteria.
A mascot is alive and animate, so they can wave at you when they say hello. A mascot sells, and a good one sells something specific. A mascot is deliberate. It's no accident that they're selling what they're selling, and they know it. Now let's take a look at some mascots and some non-mascots. After applying the 3 criteria, you might be surprised by some of these results, and frankly, when I was just beginning my studies, I was too. Mascotology is a fascinating and developing scientific field of research. If you keep these 3 criteria in mind, however, you should be able to catch the sneakiest of phonies and maybe even discover some unlikely, real McCoys of the mascot world.
Now that we have our basis established on what makes a mascot, you're probably wondering to yourself, how do we tell them apart? Much like the millions of different species that make up the animal kingdom, mascots have their own marvelous varieties that sprang up based on how they thrived in their respective markets.
Now I'm going to show you one of the most basic mascotology exercises. Here are 4 different mascots. At a glance, can you tell me which 2 are the most closely related to each other? I'll give you just a moment. The top 2 mascots may look very similar, but they sell completely different products. The bottom 2 mascots, on the other hand, look nothing like each other, but they sell exactly the same product. If you were a scientist responsible for creating a family tree of mascots, where would you place these 4? And would the same method of application work across all different mascot phylum?
You might be starting to get a sense of the depth and complexity to this field of study. A big part of mascotology, again, that's the study of mascots, relies on building a consistent model to compare and contrast mascots based on their fundamental makeup. Luckily, this classification method already exists, and it's got a pretty memorable title.
M is for market. Where can you find this mascot? A is for audience. Who does this mascot appeal to? S is for semblance. What does this mascot look like? C is for commodity. What does this mascot sell? O is for occasion. Who does this mascot want to appeal to? T is for taste. How does this mascot intend to appeal to its target audience? And if we put all of these together, we get a mascot.
Oh, let's look at an example. What market would you find this mascot in? Let's see, this book says cookie on it, so it's probably in the food business, and of course he has got no reason to lie to me. I think this little guy would be a welcome sight in any supermarket. Now we'll move on to audience. Who is this drawn in by? I see a smile, an animated visage. Sugary snacks tend to draw in the youths. Maybe this guy'd probably go over well with sweet tooths and the young at heart. Now, semblance. What does this mascot look like? Does he look like anything else you've seen before? Probably way ahead of me on this one. It looks like a silly little book. A bright tome with big eyes, a warm smile, and cute little arms and legs. But while he may resemble a book, I don't think he looks like anything else in the cookie sector. What product does this mascot sell? Well, all I can think about when I look at him is cookies. Sure, there's a bookiness to his appearance, but I think that's purely incidental. If this guy's not trying to sell me cookies, this ain't a mascot. Who would this mascot want to cozy up to? Is it the same as his audience? This takes more than a glance to confirm. Well, Cookie Bookie?
I'm bonkers for bits and kooky for cookies.
A simple message, not for snobs.
I'll bet the house on black. Black and white cookies, that is.
Focusing on those who have cookies. Simple grasp of gambling lingo. This book's looking for a wide range of cookie munchers, not just children. And finally, we've got to assess our mascot's taste. What flavor is this mascot? Are they rude and rough? Sweet? Refined? Mean? Cool? Don't worry, Cookie Bookie. I'm not going to eat you. Taste just means personality. And I can tell just by looking at you that you're a fun-loving mascot with simple pleasures. Maybe a little pushy, but that's what gives you your flavor.
Oh, phew.
As you can see, you can learn a lot about a mascot by how they look. But as tempting as it may be, you should never judge a book purely by its cover. You have to consider the contents within. May I?
How rude.
Suppose that was a tad bit presumptuous of me. But it's all in the name of science. Mascots are the best in the biz for being able to communicate so much in a single glance. In fact, I'd argue that's what a mascot is born to do. Now, this is very important, because as much as you think that any given mascot may be your friend, their main goal is to sell you something. And what they're trying to sell you is intimately tied to their identity.
This is incredibly clear with some mascots, such as the California Raisin Beings or the M&M Creatures. An iconic and unmistakable look is often advantageous for the success of a mascot, but this isn't always the case. Sometimes it's more beneficial for a mascot to take on the semblance of another mascot in the field. In my line of work, we call this parasitic mascotism, and it often results in the death of one of these beloved characters. Of course, there's also the inscrutable mascot. These are mascots whose appearance gives you nothing, truly baffling creatures that leave you asking, why should I buy puffed corn snacks from a cheetah? Or why should I trust a tiger with my breakfast options? But then they utter those famous lines.
They're great!
It's not easy being cheesy.
Go to the general and save some time!
Just say, show me the Carfax.
And finally, some mascots may need context to convey what they're selling. The way they act in a certain setting can be all they need to make a product appealing to you. I'm definitely not saying that a mascot that relies on performance is any worse than an iconic visual mascot or a catchy slogan-slinging mascot. The success of a mascot doesn't rely on how they convey the message, but how memorable their delivery is, regardless of how efficiently it conveys that message. Simply meaning, a good mascot is memorable, whether or not it makes sense.
Mascots are tasked with the most important job on this earth, helping you to buy great products from even greater brands. Marketing and mascots are so prevalent in our culture that I bet you can think of a wonderful mascot without much thought at all. In fact, let's do an exercise right now. Picture your favorite mascot. You can close your eyes if it helps.
Don't get too hung up on which one's your favorite. I know it's hard to pick. Just imagine one. Maybe think of who greeted you this morning on your cereal box. Let's actually go to a classic brand nexus point. Picture yourself in a mall. Now this mall is just like any mall you've ever been in, but it's positively filled to the brim with all your favorite brands. And the people at this mall, well, they aren't people at all. They're mascots. The mall is absolutely packed to the brim with all of your favorite anthropomorphized brand representations. Some faces seem as familiar to you as close friends and family, while others might seem strange or unreal, like a half-remembered dream. Do you have one pictured? I know I do. I'm staring at my favorite mascot in my mind's eye right now, and they don't even know it. Are you? Now, what's the first thing you notice about them? Is it how they look? Is it their clothes? Maybe it's their expression. Are they smiling? Good, good. What else about them stands out to you? Can they talk? Are they telling you something? Do they like the same food as you? Are they polite? Maybe they're rowdy. That could be fun. Can you look them in the eye? Maybe they're looking at someone else. Off in the distance. Way off in the distance. What are they looking at? Possibly another mascot. Maybe it's their favorite mascot. Maybe it's someone they hurt in the past. Someone who can't come close but is never far from mind. What are their thoughts on class struggle? Do their views align with those of the companies they represent? Does that make them complicit with the actions those companies take? Do they have hands? Are they holding anything in their hands? Do gloves count? What's inside those gloves? Do they own a house? Are they any good at tennis? Can you reach out and touch them? If you held out your hand, would they shake it? Do you trust them?
That was fun. It was like seeing my favorite mascot at a meet and greet. But I was the only one in the convention hall, so I got to shake their hand twice. How about you? You're probably thinking to yourself, why would I ever ask that many questions about a mascot? I warned you up top, I am a mascotologist, and it's my job to ask the uncomfortable questions. But you're probably thinking to yourself, what was the point of this entire thought exercise? Well, here it is. I bet you've never asked any of those questions about that mascot before in your entire life. And if you have, well, you should probably look into this burgeoning new field of research. But whether those questions are new or strange, I bet you probably had an answer. Maybe not all of them, but did at least one question lead you to a new realization about that mascot? Possibly a characteristic about them that you'd never thought of before. Maybe you realize that the red M&M is a homeowner, or that Chester Cheetah never makes eye contact. Why is that? Maybe a mascot is more than what it looks like. Maybe a mascot is more than what it sells. A mascot's job is just as much about standing out in a crowd and getting your attention as it is relaying these extra little details. All these fun facts and characteristics are intended to take root in the deep crevices of your brain, stuck there for the rest of your life, laying dormant until one day you're contemplating a purchase in the canned food aisle. A truly great mascot will remain with you until the day you close your eyes for the very last time, which leads me to the final section of this video. Being able to spot a mascot is a useful life skill, as is being able to tell what they want from you. But a mascot's entire existence revolves around you being able to do those very things. After all, they want you to recognize them and associate them with a specific product that they're aligned with. We just went over a variety of ways to consistently and objectively identify mascots, and we also discussed how to compare them to each other. Compare what they do, as well as how they do it. But I'm guessing that's not new information for you. In fact, I'd be willing to bet all my chips on...
Did somebody say chocolate chip cookie bits?
You see what I mean? A good mascot doesn't just sell, it sticks with you, never leaving you alone. Always at the back of your mind. That's what they're truly good at. Whether you like it or not, you know Tony the Tiger's stance on Frosted Flakes. You know the preferred toilet paper brand of a certain family of bears obsessed with wiping their butts. And you just met them. You may not even care for them too much, but you already have a synapse of your brain dedicated to a certain bookie that loves its cookies.
Mascots sell, and they're good at it because they're phenomenal at crawling into your brain and never coming back out. Mascots aren't just a tool of the market, they're the guiding hand. They're the fortune teller and the fate foretold, because turning an impulse signal in your brain into a tangible personified fixture is just as incredible as turning lead into gold or conjuring a cash cow out of thin air, because the results are the same. Mascots transform subconscious memory into unconscious profit. This may sound like magic, but it's not. It's cold, hard scientific fact. It's mascotology.
If you think that you're making unbiased choices of your own free will when you go to the grocery store, you're discounting decades of hard work put in by these dedicated characters to influence not only your buying habits, but your very way of life. This is a mascot's world, and we're just shopping in it. Make sure to come back for the next episode of Mascots Explained, where we'll be doing a deep dive into a specific mascot. I'll give you a hint. They didn't appear in this video. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, hit the bell if you want to know when the next one goes up, and make sure to come back next time. I've got more secrets. If you want me to talk about specific ones, let me know. Please.